What if DeepSeek isn't the story?
For years, frontier AI followed a simple rule: bigger models, more GPUs, more capital, more closed labs. Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, different brands, same race up the same cost curve. That wasn't just how models got better, it was how the industry defined winning.
Training the best AI models became a game the only richest companies could afford. By 2025, the four biggest US hyperscalers were forecasting a combined roughly $380 billion in capital expenditure, up about 65% from 2024, much of it driven by AI build-outs, and the cutting edge left behind the walls, papers, maybe full recipes, really.
If you couldn't afford the cluster, you weren't in the conversation. Expensive AI didn't feel like a strategy. It felt like a law of physics. If everyone was playing the same game, what happens when something public breaks the scoreboard? Then something public broke it, not with a manifesto, but with a chain of visible facts.
On the same stretch of days in January 2025, a reasoning model hit the discourse. An app shot to the top of the store. Nvidia fell about 17% in a single session, close to $600 billion in market value, according to CNBC. Investors wasn't debating a price release. They were reassessing CapEx assumptions. How much compute the next decade of AI actually required?
Something no longer fit. It was DeepSeek, with results that didn't fit the old curve.
Not fully open everything. Weights, methods, and code are different layers, but enough of the stack left the closed club to change the argument. According to their paper, the direct training run took under 2.8 million GPU hours, estimated at around $5.6 million. Even with R&D factored in, it was a fraction of standard Silicon Valley spending.
The odd part wasn't one app topping a chart. It was that the old rules started falling stress tests, one by one. So put the old rulebook on the table. 3 beliefs, 3 stress tests.
First belief: bigger models and more scale win by default. Surprise! An efficiency path built around smarter architectures instead of brute force scale delivered frontier-level capabilities. Second belief: more GPUs and more CapEx are inevitable moat. Surprise! That public reported training run set at a fraction of the spend curve everyone treated as law. Markets had already voted with a repricing. Third belief: only frontier labs in the closed club can set the pace. Surprise! Open weights and a technical report forced the leaders to respond in public. Meta's LeCun framed it differently. Don't read this as a simple China versus US scoreboard. Read it as open source models pressuring proprietary ones, built on shared research, then shared again.
DeepSeek isn't the point. If another lab had stress tested the same rule, the question would still stand.
Under constraint, the winning move was no longer to buy the biggest cluster and keep everything closed.
So if the old rules failed the test, what exactly broke? The ranking or the rulebook? This was never a story about who beat ChatGPT on the leaderboard. It was a story about what stopped looking like a law.
Scale still matters, capital still matters, but the center of gravity is shifting from who can spend the most on training runs toward who can win on inference cost, token economics, and how fast an application ships. Inference prices have been falling by roughly an order of magnitude a year,
capital remains an advantage. It is no longer a monopoly. Open models can close a gap. Closed labs can still lead. Neither path is guaranteed win. DeepSeek didn't make AI cheap. It made expensive AI optional. Expensive AI became optional, which raises a harder question. The next breakthrough may belong to whoever questioned the rule everyone else accepted. Thanks for watching.